Greetings everyone, my name is Otterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man Maker. In this uncommon evening stream, I'll be covering the level pack Mega Man Bastian's Rat by Tedley11, aka Mega Man Ashes of Hope. My apologies for the delay, other commitments plus other stuff. Also, as a fair warning, I've heard about the various crashes that have been happening in the latest version of Maker, which was just released today. So, if I get stuck somewhere and it really seems unstable, I'll use the older version and just download the level IDs that way. Just as a heads up. So Bastian's Rat consists of an intro stage, 8 RM levels, or maybe 7 of them, 8 RM levels, and 5 further stages. So without further ado, let's begin with the first one. The intro stage, of course. 52 plays and a score of 22. I'll be going through the entirety of this pack, giving my commentary along the way. Hopefully it's better than the first one I played by Tedley. Or, I mean the last level pack. First one is better. It's another case of where the Maker devs are understaffed and didn't have enough time to test properly. Go figure. We're gonna stream Hyper, Jedok, Jaden, Jay Butters, Minubi, Pixel Boy, and of course Tedley. The inner stage looks more visually interesting compared to the previous ones by you. And please, don't spoil me on this unless I specifically ask. I know you're excited for me to check out the stuff in the later part of the pack, but let me find out on my own, please. So this patch adds a few new backgrounds, music, tiles, and I believe at least 2 or 3 new gimmicks. Something in regards to a time block. Bye, Wily. The barely reconstructed Wily machine. Reconstructed with a bit of glue, with a lot of glue and duct tape, and love. Feel free to discuss both this level pack or anything I've covered this week, which in this case would be the Hollow Knight series. I'm gonna back off a bit, and of course, with the way things are going, I'm not gonna be able to finish Hollow Knight before Silk Song or Skong. But I'm gonna assure you, when I get back to the game next weekend, because I need to take a short break, I will get back into the game. Like, that's a cool game, and I do want to finish it. Feel free to discuss lore or whatever. So let's see, I can go after Lucy, Griffin, Onyx, Cryosium, Mosquito, Stara, Lemon, or Raspberry. So, rolling the die on this one. Lemon's first on the chopping block at the Monsteropolis Power Grid. 106 plays and a score of 56. Whoa. Quite a few people have upvoted your stage. Maybe a streamer got around to it and liked it quite a bit. Okay, beginning the level pack so we can choose our weapons as well as items. Nice. For those... Oh, yeah, I want that. For those who didn't attend the Hollow Knight streams, feel free to watch his VODs, or just wait until the edited version. When I edit it down, there's going to be at least 20% of it's going to be edited out, especially in the late game when I start backtracking. If I were to go back with all the knowledge I have now, my route would be noticeably different, and I would have bought the Lanternfly a lot earlier. And a few people would have been rescued 2 streams in advance, like the person at the lower end of the Fungal Caverns wastes. Oh yeah, as a fair warning, I'm not sure if I'm gonna 100% or 112% Hollow Knight. We'll see. I am gonna try going for the canon ending, whatever that entails. Like, I want to try getting the bad ending, regular ending, and normal ending. Well, bad, normal, and canon, / true, / best. Already this is making a better use of mechanics compared to Teddy's attack, I'd say. Visually and gameplay more stimulating. Yeah, just wait for the edited version. Oh, you never got around to the junkyard. It came out several hours ago. Apologies for taking all this damage, but as you know, the most important HP value is the last. Oh, that's unfortunate, Tyler. Yeah, it seems like the update was kind of rushed out. You would think that for a fan game live service with already plenty of delays, they would have delayed this update to give at least one more week for better testing. It's not like this game is supposed to it's not like the game has had consistent update schedules. Nor were they rushing to hit an anniversary. We already passed the 8th anniversary after all. Goodbye. Goodbye to you too. Blue key, eh? I'm afraid not, Tyler. I'm only covering this particular level pack tonight. Oh boy, 9 souls. Oh my goodness, that was close. Also, we didn't really need Hornet Man to take double damage from the Buster. We got Electric Ball. Stage length is about the NES, slightly longer than the NES length, lower end of many of the NES-inspired 8-bit games, fan games. But it works, and even though it's on the shorter end compared to many of the levels we've seen in Maker, as well as fan game levels in packs, or even individually, it does a better job with its length. It's not as good as something like Power Simplified level, which goes way harder with its mechanics, but for what it's worth, this is being geared towards lower intermediate to intermediate skilled players. When I say lower intermediate, I mean in between beginners and intermediate players. Those stages. It's set for those. So for what it's worth, solid start. Nothing that was really frustrating like when they covered Neko Day's level pack last week. Ooh. Okay, I got electricity. After rolling the die, Griffin is gonna get chainsawed at the factory. 109 plays, score 58. That's fair, Jaden. So many things, so little time. Oh boy, 8 keys. I don't have to backtrack to this stage. I don't want to have to backtrack through all these stages, to be honest. I appreciate there's more replayability and backtracking, but for the sake of getting through this more swimmingly. Oh, not part of the foreground. Not part of the background. Excuse me. But for the sake of getting through this level pack more swimmingly, if I come across a key and I can reasonably get it, but the only reason I can't get it is due to a missing special weapon, I'll count as getting it. So, word of advice, change the tiles over here to be different so it stands up more from the background. Like here it works better, but in that screen, it... The only reward is an upgraded charge, Sean, eh? Oh look, an extended better version of Wheelgator's stage team. I like many of the stage tracks in X2, but they could stand to be... Their compositions could stand to be a bit lengthier. It feels like they need... I really wish they were 25 to 30% longer. Oh boy. Awkward. Where's my checkpoint? Not what exactly what I needed right now, Eddie. Thank you. My favorite X2 Maverick team is Bubble Crab. I like Counter Hunter 1 and 2, but gosh, just like pretty much all the other teams in X2, except maybe the intro stage team, and the password team, and the stage select team, they need to be 25% longer. Like, they're good. I like them, but they do sound a bit incomplete. I want that. X3's Maverick Stage teams suffer from a similar yet a bit different problem, where I feel X2 needs more, the tracks need to be lengthened, and X3 I would re-instrument them I'd re-instrument and recompose a bunch of them, as unfortunately many of them sound a bit too similar to each other, due to the choice of MIDI instruments, the way they're composed or whatever, but they kind of blend in with each other, as opposed to X1 and X2 where I know they're the rock and metal based, or rock and metal inspired, but at least they stand out. X3 on the other hand, X4 doesn't suffer from this problem at all. X5, I don't really like the tracks of X5 as much either, but at least they're distinct. Hey, Shadow. Oh, Neon Tiger. One of the shortest tracks in X3 before it repeats. Instrumentation is too samey compared to itself. Even its chain cutter is what we require. Too samey in regards to the other tracks in the same game. Not enough variation of that same instrumentation in the same track. And the patterns repeat too soon. It's yeah. See you later, Tyler. Well, them being incomplete is part of the problem. I just feel X3 suffers from more than X2. X2, I wouldn't re-instrument or redo the tracks, I just lengthened them. X3, it's more your mileage may vary or personal thing. I just feel like the tracks don't... They're too samey relative to each other, in addition to being sounding incomplete. Like, when you make a soundtrack for a game, especially of retro consoles, you should take into consideration the sound font you use, as well as the console's sound and audio limitations. X3 doesn't really. I know the PS1 version has its own funkiness, but at least with the PS1 version, the tracks do stand out a bit more from each other, even if they're incomplete. Like, it's amazing how you can pretty much have the same song, but by using different instruments, it results in a very different feeling. Hold up, Tedley, be patient. I'll give my current thoughts when I finish stage 4. Or the RM stage. Again, I understand you're excited, but please, let me experience it at my own rate. This is a spiritual successor of Dr. Tedley's attack. I'm having more fun than the board of your level packs before, I'll just say that. I totally understand the feeling of wanting to showcase your levels and I'm really excited to see what I say about them. I had the same feeling with my Magmal levels, but please, let me experience them at my own pace and enjoy them for what they are. I'm kind of having a hard time explaining my overall thoughts on music because I didn't really study music that much. I didn't really study music. So it's more based off of gut experience and using/misusing terms. Using the same leitmotif, excuse me. Using the same leitmotif for the entire soundtrack can work, and we have seen it with various games. See Killer Instinct, see Deltarune, Undertale, but you need to make it work. You need more to make it work together. Alright, next on the chopping block is Cryoseum at the Frostpeak Valley, 53 plays, score 23. I didn't even find the key in that stage. Well, I think I know where it is. It's behind the destroyable wall. The original NES games, maybe with the exception of 5 and 6, have a very rock and roll inspired feel to them. Totally. X1 has a very hard rock and metal inspired soundtrack. I agree with that too. X2 could be also one, but they don't really expand on the ideas they expect. Yeah, they feel like they wouldn't be out of. They feel like they feel like they would almost fit in X1, but go in a different direction with the whole metal feeling. The problem is they feel incomplete. Like, it's interesting how X1 and X2 have a very metal inspired track. X3 as well. Actually, X3 even more so it feels. But X1 and X2 take it in X1, X2, and X3 take it in different directions. Or, well, at least X1 and X2. I don't know. Jilly. Put a checkpoint right over there, eh? Huh. Ah, darn it. Fine. Speaking of X2 tracks, Crystal Snail. And that Joe decided to depart. Precisely, Jaden. Is that a dead pit? Yeah. Yeah. Buster time. And heck, by then, Nintendo already well knew how to use however you pronounce it, motifs. Right, X3 is... Like with X1 and X2 you could say they're hard rock to metal. X3 is just straight metal. With maybe 2 exceptions, one of them being the ending track. Okay, at least the ending track maybe. But the use of the sound font and sound instrumentation is doesn't really help it. Oh look, first key. Like metal to heavy metal maybe? Oh my goodness. So much for shortcut. Yeah, I believe Fire Emblem games have been doing that for quite a while. Should've just waited and reset the room. See, this is already doing a better job than the Tedley's attack and what was the name of the previous one I did? That was so forgettable that I don't even remember its name. Because now this is actually forcing me to engage with the mechanic. No, not Unknown 14. Dr. Max's attack. Thank you, Tedley. Tedley's attack was better than Dr. Max's attack, and this already is better than both of them as it's forcing me to engage with the mechanics in somewhat, maybe not the fully interesting ways because we've seen better uses of these. But at least there's a better interplay between the mechanics, and the author, even if they're not getting it fully, even if they're not fully exploring these in interesting ways, they're at least trying, and not just letting them... Ah, rats. Let me through. And not letting them go to waste. Find the boss for the first time, as I like this level pack enough, I'm just gonna use the Buster. It's not like they're that difficult. I got... Hail... Storm? Mega Man? You can stop spinning. I wouldn't call this a good level pack, but it's at the very least, at worst, okay. Most of the time, decent for Maker standards. Yeah, I'm sorry, Hyper, but it was so forgettable. I still think Dr. Max's attack is better than Unknown 14, namely as even if it's forgettable, it wasn't frustrating. It didn't have weird trolly design. And didn't feel like it was overstaying its well. Mega Man 10 soundtrack feels more like... It feels like it went in a different direction, but it still feels like it fits into Mega Man. It still feels like it fit with the NES games, whereas 9 just feels like it fit more between 4 through 6, while hewing closer to 2 and 3 mold. Like 9 is definitely a retro throwback true and true, 10 as well, but they try advancing further. Yeah, 10 soundtracks do not sound samey. Like, they all sound distinct from each other and such and such. With 9 though, a few tracks could be a little bit samey with how the instrument composition is. I still like both soundtracks, but 10 definitely stands up more to me. When I eventually play Mega Man 9, I'm probably gonna get another mod in just to be safe. I may have some hot takes here. Anyways... To space! Glittering Space Station. Stara. 55 plays, score 26. Oh yeah, Freezeman would heal himself multiple times with a thunderstorm because it multi-hits. That could be a disaster. Cool, it also gives me the Rush Marine. It's handy I got it before the water stage. Okay, introducing this in a safe environment. I can just skip it though. You may want to make it so you can't exactly skip that first use, but we're in space, so sure. Maybe make it so you begin the stage inside a space station with regular gravity. Like, a use like this. With the first one you could skip it, second one you couldn't exactly. This one you're forced to engage with it. Doggy, help. Help. Oh, come on. Okay, I wasn't sure if that was actually a solid wall or just part of the background. You know, it's funny you say that, Manubi. Aw, darn, it doesn't put it out. Also, I think I should have gotten the Spike Guard and Beat. I got the wrong items. Thanks for the heads up. Don't have the proper ability. I need Rush Jet. 10 really, as a game, Mega Man 10 really reminds me the most of Mega Man 5 in terms of its experimentation. Whereas 9 reminds me most of 2 and 3. It's kind of funny because 5 also kind of reminds me of 3 in a way. Bye. Like, 3, 5, and 10, they kind of follow a true line for me in terms of how the series experimented with its main robot master set. I know the series tried to experiment more with 7, 8, and base, but they experimented in a different way. By revamping the actual structure of how you progress through the game itself into splitting it into 2 parts. Oh no. I didn't realize that was actually a ceiling. Revamping into a 2-act structure. And you don't need special weapons to get this, eh? Or in the case of Mega Man Base, splitting off even further. I choose right. It doesn't actually matter. Interesting you say that, Manubi. I think for 9 it was definitely inspired from 2 and 3. With 10 though, I could let lead credence to that. Watch out for the Crusher! I say just as I leave the Crusher. Well, that's certainly one way to have basically crushable objects. And no, that's not a secret. You made that clear. Yee. You know what? Can I just thunderstorm? Yes, I can. Whew. One of the best climaxes I've seen in this pack so far. You're really improving, Tedley. Going from subpar to okay to decent. You still have a long ways to go, but this is one of the packs that's actually more consistently enjoyable to play, and there's no real rough spots. Heck, you're even sometimes introducing the main mechanic of the level during the fights themselves, which I like. Galaxy, are you okay? We're out of here. I got Star Barrage. That was fast. The meteors didn't even hit yet. Why do you say you have trash taste in gaming music? What brought that up? I'm gonna say this. If someone says you have... Most of the time when people say they have trash taste in something, 99% of the time, it's not. It's all personal opinion. There are very few things I consider to be actually trash taste or trashy. And if you're asking yourself that question, it's most like you already have the self-reflection to say, you already have the self-reflection to realize if it's trashy or not. Like, the people who actually have quote-unquote trash taste, they're ignorant to whether they actually have it. And even then, that's a small minority. Frankly, there are worse things to have a quote-unquote bad opinions on. Interesting point, Manubi. There's sort of a standard to fan-made Mega Man music that ironically feels less like classic rock inspired and feels more like J-rock. I don't have enough knowledge about the delineation between traditional rock and J-rock, so I can't really properly comment on that. But it's cool if you experiment. And hey, when we're talking about the Mega Man soundtracks, we're usually referring to the NES, sometimes the SNES soundtracks, referring to Mega Man Classic, that is. There's also the whole realm of the arranged Mega Man Classic soundtracks, as well as the FM versions too. When we get to X, it's even more complicated because we're going across multiple eras. With Mega Man Classic, people just mainly think of the NES, NES era, and just a few NES and Revival. Well, only a few remembering the 16-bit and 32-bit, I guess. Even fewer than that. Whereas with Mega Man X, it's a bit more complicated because when you think of X, they usually think of X1 or X4, and they go for quite different styles, I'll say. Or if we go even further, X1, X4, X7, or X8, even then there's a lot of interesting variations of the eras. I think this may be one of the weaker levels, but that's more due to how I would do the introductions and how I combine the gimmicks. The climax though, that was pretty fun, making use of the fact of how the tarmac platforms in this engine will crush you. Alright, half the arms are down. The other nice thing is that these stages do not overstay the welcome. If anything, they could actually stand to be one section longer, but the way it is right now, it's fine. It does a mostly sufficient job with its length, and I know it could use the gimmicks more comprehensively or extensively, but this is being geared towards an intermediate skill level at most, so of course they're not going to go that hard. It's not going to go as hard as, for example, Power Simplified did their stage. If it did, I would appreciate the stage more, but that's more of a personal opinion versus the actual stage quality itself, because not all stages are designed for all people. Some stages are designed for some stages are designed for particular skill levels, some stages are designed with certain weapons in mind, or certain gimmicks, mechanics, etc, etc. Anyways, thank you for listening to my mini TED Talk. Next up is Mosquito at the Explosive Airship. 90 plays, score 38. Oh, that's cool, Jaden. Although, Hollow Knight blows Spark 1 out of the water. Like, with Spark, it had several issues with its design and levels. Hollow Knight, none. Flame Stag. Indeed, Minubi. Mega Man's style is very versatile, but at the same time quite recognizable. To the point where many tracks from other games aren't even explicitly Mega Man, but they sound like they wouldn't be out of place in a Mega Man game. Remember Launch and Shuttle Man from Magma 2? A lot of people think it was a Mega Man inspired soundtrack, but no, it's from Phantom Breaker. It was from Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds. And I know it's not traditionally Mega Man, but it sounded close enough for most people, and it worked for that stage. Yeah, making a Mega Man style song is in the instrumentation and in the dash of funk and metal you add to it. Aw, yeah. Make sure not to take the elevator. I wish I played Hollow Knight earlier because I completely understand now. Oh boy. Well, I completely understand now why so many indie Metroidvanias take inspiration from it in the same way they do for Symphony of the Night and Super Metroid. I mean, I understood at some level about that earlier. Oh. I want that. I mean, I understood beforehand and from a turret hand perspective and from hearing what people said, but hearing and experiencing are two different things. But hearing it and experiencing the game firsthand, yeah, I get it now. Welp. No. Yeah, the fog isn't even explicitly required, I agree. Yes! Oh boy. Go away, birdie. Be gone, birdie. Well, looks like I'm forced to take the elevator now. I'm gonna respond to your comments on the music right after the stage, Jaden, as it's quite a bit. I'm doing well enough, YouTube. Your favorite phenomenon that exemplifies your point, Manubi, is NES Mega Man ROM hacks that rip songs from other games and just use the instruments from the base Mega Man game for the music, and the best ones, they work. Alright, and yes, to clarify a point, I am not streaming tomorrow. I'm gonna enjoy my Labor Day Monday. I've already streamed more than I expected for Hollow Knight. As much as I appreciate the game, I need to take a break and relax. I'm not used to streaming this often. Plus, the Sonic Amateur Games Expo 2025 is quickly approaching. And that's gonna be packed as well for a different reason. For an airship that was exploding, most of the exploding that happened was Mega Man himself. Yeah, I like playing Hollow Knight, but, well, normally when I play a game, I don't really just enunciate and explain all my actions like that, so that also tires things out. And well, when I stream, it's like continuous instead of like in 30-minute or 1-hour chunks. Remote mine. I got Dynamite Tagger. So far, no crashes. Luckily, I didn't hit the self-destruct button. Okay. I responded to most of the other points. Now let's talk about music. Specifically from Jaden's perspective. Okay. You keep thinking on the Anthony Fantana video ranting about quote-unquote movie score gaming music. More low-key and subdued stuff like One Night Noctis after. I'll say this. A lot of the quote-unquote movie score music that mainly exists in AAA titles and is designed for very specific reasons and how it appeals to a larger swath of the audience. Like, I'm gonna say this, movie score music has its place, medium key music has its place, low key, subdued stuff has its place, no music and only atmospheric sounds has its place. Everything has its place. It just depends on how it's used. I totally get getting tired of all the... I totally understand getting tired of one branch of music if you overhear it. Especially if, for example, AAA games keep using the same styles over and over. But the reason they do it is because A, it works, and B, the audience doesn't seem to mind it, and as a matter of fact, they like it. If you're wondering why they like it, it's not just because they don't have taste, or they didn't experience enough soundtracks or different varieties of music. It's also the case that they don't really play that many video games, as pretty much everyone in chat and me have done. Like, if you only play 1 or 2, maybe 3 AAA games per year, all the repetition that happens on the yearly or twice yearly release schedules, it won't matter as much. It doesn't feel so annoying. That's why, for example, when you ranted about the open world, the whole Ubisoft open world checklist style of game design, the reason why many the general audiences didn't mind it that much for quite a while is because they only really played 1 or 2 examples of the genre per year, so it doesn't get tiring if you play it that. It doesn't get tiring if you play it that little. Like, the whole quote-unquote checkbox style has its place too, but the problem is if everyone decides to chase the same one, and then it gets tiring over time. Eventually the general audiences did get tired too. It just took longer. And it's cool that how they changed your life. I mean, if you wanted to go back, there are many games, for example, in my lifetime that I played that did affect my life in very important ways. Like, I talked about Sonic Adventure, I could also say The Legend of Spyro. The Legend of Spyro games really got me into fandoms. You're worse back in your Spark 1 HK honeymoon phase. When I used to be a quote-unquote Sonic fan, I was more defensive of my interests, I'll say. Now it's more eh. Like, even if a game didn't really pan out well, and even if a game didn't pan out well with either critics, or it doesn't have that many fans, either because it wasn't advertised properly, it came out at the wrong time, or it wasn't actually designed that well, it's still okay to like it, and more important than that, it's still okay to say that it affected you. Like, there are plenty of games I say that I enjoy or I remember, but aren't actually good. Or I wouldn't even consider to be good. They really affected what I was looking for in the future. They really affected what I'm looking for in future games, or my tastes, so to speak. And yeah, the music topic is something that I'm not really well versed in. I'm more of a gameplay and story guy. I can roughly talk about it, but unlike, for example, Manubi, who is actually a practicing composer, I can only go so far. I'm basically part of the mainstream. I'm part of the mainstream, not that well experienced / beginner audience, who is more of a generalist and only knows a few of the terms and probably misuses most of them. Like, actual trained composers, musicians, music teachers are cringing. Enough of that, let's actually go to the next stage. 6th RM is The Swamp Underdepths, Onyx. 63 play, score 28, I think. Oh yeah, I've heard After Image is a lot better than Spark 1. Like, the actual Spark game I'm looking forward to playing is 3, but we'll get to that when we get to that. See ya, Hyper. Avion is a series I knew about since the mid-2000s, I think. But back then I wasn't really interested in JRPGs. Water. Like, I'm basically a beginner at talking about music, other than saying that, oh hey, I like this track. I like it because it's part of the subgenre. Of one of the only... And when I talk about subgenres of music, it's only of the major ones. Like, when I say rock or metal, I'm just saying, like, the top levels. I'm not even going to subdivisions or more specifics like Minubi did. Like, pointing out, for example, Mega Man sometimes taking inspiration from J-Rock. I would have never pointed that out. Oh, come on. Bad dog. Thank you. And there was nothing there. Oh my goodness, no! Mid-boss skip. You hate music, Minubi? Ah, darn. I know it's jesting, but of all the people in the chat, you probably have the most knowledge of music in general. But to be fair, there's a thing to be said about quite a few haters having more knowledge about certain aspects or topics than the actual fans. Some haters, not all of them. Is this more likely to... I just find it more likely for fans of a topic to have more knowledge than the actual dislikers. I'm gonna respond to a moment to your first comment, Newbie, because that is really important and something I need to keep pointing out on the channel. Because it applies to not just music. Anyways, here's Snake Man, who I've barely fought ever since they've been added. No, seriously. The arenas work more in my favor than the bosses, to be honest. There. I got Acid Burst. Which I'll barely use. Okay. Even then, I presented an important perspective. Most of the time, video game composers aren't composing for other composers. They're composing to complete the game experience for the actual target audience. I want to be careful here. It's not specifically the actual consumer. When we say actual consumer, we mean the actual target audience. Because that's also another important distinction. When you're composing music, you should know the target audience you're composing it for. The same applies if you're designing a video game, writing for a video game, or designing and writing in general. And yes, on that topic, it is also important to take perspectives from... It is also important to listen to people with different perspectives. Or let me rephrase it. And yes, it is also very important to listen to people with different backgrounds and perspectives. You shouldn't just listen to people who already have a background in music theory and composition. You should also listen to people who are beginners, intermediates, the very experienced if you can. The same applies to game design, or writing stories, or heck, even target audiences, or even the audiences you make your games. That's why I keep harping on the point of how when you're testing a game, or asking people to play test, or even showcasing a game, you should be careful to ask for feedback from people who run the gamut from the lower end of your target skill bracket to the upper skill bracket. I was gonna say beginners, intermediates, advanced, super advanced, etc. But again, that's also dependent on your target audiences. If your game is already going to be something more of a diet casual experience, of course, you're not going to ask for the opinion of beginner platformer players, or maybe even intermediate platformer players, depending on how hard it is. The advice is helpful, sure, but not all advice is equally helpful. Some advice is pretty much useless, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But it is important to embrace constructive feedback from various backgrounds. Ah yes, like Pomni Grind and really obscure stuff like Ramona's Core. /S. You actually had a debate with a more experienced composer. Usually when you're making fan stuff and you're not being paid for it, whether that be in money or ad spots or exposure, then yes, your central audience will start with yourself. That's what I always recommend. If you're not being paid or compensated for, or specifically trying to get something out of it to gain, you should make stuff for yourself. I want to reiterate this point because I see too many creators burn out over time. If you're going to make something and you're not being paid or compensated for, or it's some sort of trade, the primary audience should be starting with yourself. I mean, what I said, my points about the last two stages also apply to the first four stages, Tedley, so I'll just be repeating the same point over. So basically, take what I said about the first four stages and apply it to these two. I still think I forget what one of the... I still think Frost Peak Valley and Glittering Space Station had the better endings, but eh. Seventh up is Lucy at the construction site. 84 plays, score 46. See ya, Jethawk. But yeah, thank you for providing all this food for thought, Jethawk, Jaden, and Manubi. Especially in regards to music soundtracks. This all started when we were talking about the X1 through X3 soundtracks of Mega Man, and we expanded into an overall discussion on music theory and stuff like this in general. Welcome to the Green Construction Plant. Okay. Yeah, as a freelancer and a hobbyist in the grand scheme of things, especially as a hobbyist who's doing things out of fun, remember, center yourself first. Don't let other people make you burn out in your hobby that you're doing out of your Don't let other people make it so that you dislike or burn out from your current favorite hobbies, especially for stuff you're just doing out of pure fun and self-improvement. And wow, YouTube's actually being somewhat relevant. Surprising. Oh, happy birthday in advance, Jenok. I can totally understand that, Jaden. As you get older and older, stuff, unless it's really distinct, becomes less memorable. Like, I more distinctly remember a lot of the stuff in my childhood over a lot of the new stuff I hear nowadays. If I didn't grow up with, as another example of stuff that really affected my tastes, if I didn't grow up with 8 and 16-bit video games, whether that be from the consoles or quote-unquote retro-inspired games in the Flash game era and beyond, I wouldn't like chiptune as much as I do nowadays. As much as I do nowadays. I mean, of course, I don't exactly trust myself during criticism because we are both our worst, because as the saying goes, we are our worst critic. Not just in terms of being too harsh or too lenient, but also missing things. I tried to pan the camera down by using the right analog stick. Oh cool, this is something I would do. Like, I remember part of the score of Freedom Planet 1 in Code Bunny. Freebie! I can see why this is your favorite stage. I don't know if I would say this is my favorite. I think I like the space station combined with the earlier two stages, but this does a fair job of being a gentler level to build up everything. The mid-boss fight, I do notice that every stage has had a mid-boss fight, and I appreciate that. I like when stages do that. Is that boulder always randomized? Yeah, the design of the block's always randomized. Not that it really helped them. I got stone shot. One RM left to go. I think my favorite stages so far would probably be Frost Peak Valley, part of the explosive airship, and the glittering space station. Like, at its worst, the stages are okay. But even when they're okay, they're at least the rompy fun kind. It's not like Mega Man Unknown 14 with the inconsistent and overly long levels, or Dr. Max's Attack where stuff was getting, boring. This tries to at least mix things up, and it doesn't overstay its welcome when it realizes that, oh, I've reached the limit of how much I can do in this time frame or design space in regards to this difficulty, so I shall end. That's one of the reasons this got this many upvotes. The primary reason is because a major streamer covered it. The last of the 8 RMs is Rat at Raspberry. The last of the 8 RMs is Rat at the Raspberry. Oh, sorry. That's not Rat, it's Raspberry. The last of the 8 RMs is Raspberry at the Airship Docking Tower. 45 play score 20. Might be. I'm really showing off my tiredness now. I don't know if I can rank these stages, Tedley. I need more time for that. I can say what my favorite stage is, but I can probably say what my 3 top stages are. But the rest are gonna be, mixed together. Half the keys. Changing the pitch of the song after you're quote-unquote done with it. That can work, but be careful. Some tracks sound a lot better or worse at certain pitches. And sometimes changing the pitch can change the entire feeling of the song. But if it helps you, go for it. It is somewhat like flipping the canvas, but in a different way. Like with flipping the canvas, well, I feel like changing the pitch has a more drastic impact on the final composition than flipping the canvas. With flipping the canvas is to spot errors. To spot errors and funny things with, for example, the facial structures or composition or anatomy. Changing the pitch is more... I think changing the pitch in regards to drawing, I feel that changing the pitch is more analogous to changing the whole color scheme or putting a color filter on the image. Changing the lighting, contrast, brightness, or color spectrum of the image. Or even suddenly recoloring the image. I don't know. I'm spitting out words by this point. It is similar. I think if we're doing a direct comparison, flipping the closest equivalent to changing the pitch would be changing the color distribution or settings, or or the brightness and contrast ratios. But yeah, flipping the canvas does help. Bye, mid-boss. But again, do whatever helps. I don't think the RM stages are good per se, but they're fun. Okay, decent. They could have improvements across the board, but you need more playtesting and probably guidance from Works practice designer. The selection of special I didn't really comment it, but the selection of special weapons is fine. There are some weapons I'm not going to be using as much, like Saltwater and Plug Ball. They have uses. I do sometimes use the Metal Blade though, especially when I have to aim downwards, but if I'm going to fire straight forwards, I'm probably going to use the explosive weapons or the Dust Crusher. More damage and all that. If anything, Saltwater is the weapon I'm going to use the least about. If anything, Saltwater is the weapon I'm going to use the least amount of, due to its lack of DPS, awkward firing angle, and better weapons overall to use over it. Switching over to Storm Eagle Tag 2. That was easy. Plenty of people don't have I'll say this. Plenty of people don't have astigmatism, and they still have issues drawing anatomy. So don't beat yourself up about it. Alright, I got the rush set now. I got... Storm... Chakram? And that's all 8 RMs eliminated. I would have liked to play the original version of the stage that was super difficult. This was mostly fair. I'd say this was entirely fair. Even the ending section with the fans. You know how much I dislike the fan gimmick in this engine, especially the downward facing ones. They went by pretty well. It also helps that the enemies that were used there, the aerial based ones, they weren't that annoying to deal with. Most of them could be taken out with a single charge shot if you aimed it right. I can totally understand how the original used to be a living hell. Yeah, Saltwater was a lot better in 48 Hour as well as in World 5. Like, Saltwater becomes better when the screen real estate is smaller. Yeah, the less you're experienced in a certain topic or subject matter, the harder it is to experience or understand nuance. Like... Excuse me for a moment. Phone alarm. Alright, some comments before I go over to the further stages. I can totally understand how this used to be a living hell. With less careful placement of enemies and more difficult fan placements, yeah. The fans in this engine don't really... they're not trivial to understand. Oh, that's nice, Jaden. Something to keep in mind about how I grade things. When I say something's okay, when I say something's decent, pat yourself in the back. I don't like to call things good unless I feel like they get pretty much everything polished out of the board and accomplish what they were setting out to do. That's why whenever I talk about games, I know, I tend to be nicer to older games with more limitations. But in general, if I consider a game to be good, that means it set out to accomplish what I was trying to accomplish, and also I liked what they accomplished. Final product. Yeah, it's a combination of both actual concrete design and personal preference. Leaning more towards the latter for certain games, for certain game franchises and genres that I don't have enough experience in. Like, when I eventually get around to playing Sonic Rush, there's gonna be a lot more of the latter than the former. As a reminder, I'll try covering most, if not all, of the Mega Man fan games that'll be featured in Sage 2025. Sampling the demos and maybe fully covering any full games. There are going to be exceptions, like if there's going to be a fighting game, I'm going to pass over it. Alrighty then, it is story time for this level pack. With the 8 RMs demolished, Bastian's sister Hermione now reveals herself with her fortress and challenges Mega Man to stop her. Sorry, the previous context got left behind in Mega Man Destiny. So, we are going to enter, of course, through the sewer system. 64 plays, score 37. Usually when we approach a fortress, the conventional wisdom is we're gonna approach it on foot or in the sky for one, and then we enter the sewer system in stage 2. But here we're just cutting to the chase. You know what? Let me repeat that. I'm really bad. Okay. This is just a post-commentary note, we'll get over here. Story time. With the defeat of the 8 RMs Dr. Bastian is sent to us, his sister Hermione shows up, revealing herself with her fortress, and challenges Mega Man to stop her. Sorry, the OG context got left behind in Destiny. So, we're gonna break in through the sewer system. 64 plays, score of 37. Unlike most, usually in fortresses, the first stage is the approach, whether that be on the ground or in the sky, and stage 2 is the sewer system. In this case, we're just cutting to the chase. Thank you for the comments, Manubi. I don't know how else to respond to it other than nodding and waving. Smile and wave. I'll be fine. Splash, splash. Is this where I can use the Rush Marine? I wish Rush Marine came with the missiles. That's an interesting way of thinking about music. Ow. If I recall correctly, we have about 5 or 6 Hermione stages. There will be a few lore dumps during the fortress stages. I want to say an FYI, I may not be reading all the lore dumps. For those watching in post, just see it in chat. There'll be more Rush Marine later. See ya, YouTube. Well, the first Madagascar film was pretty solid. I enjoyed it. But then it became a cash cow franchise and went through a sequel stagnation. Just like most long-running movies, just like most other animated family movies become. Excuse me, just like most other long-running animated family movies become. If you want another example, Hotel Transylvania, or Ice Age, or Open Season, and a few other films I can't really think of right now off the top of my head. The first or second films in those series are pretty strong. Maybe not the best, but still pretty enjoyable. But after that, well, as they keep asking for sequel upon sequel upon sequel, the subsequent films become worse and worse. Oh yes, Land Before Time. That's another good example. The Penguins of Madagascar, though, I think that actually was fairly solid. The second Madagascar film was decent, not as good as the first one though. That being said, sequels don't necessarily have to be... That being said, animated family film sequels don't necessarily have to be bad. I'm going to specifically be referring to fully animated films, not live action or mixed. Like, if we're talking about fully animated films for... Oh, rematches. If we're talking about animated family sequel films, two examples of ones I say that stand up to the originals and their release of recent date. Inside Out 2. Or Inside Out 2 or The Bad Guys 2. Okay, that worked. What do beasts like? The Ice Age. Or being crushed. That's 2 rematches down. Sorry if I'm getting a lot more scatterbrained with my discussions. I streamed quite a bit today and I'm getting tired. True that, Minubi. That's why I also appreciate different perspectives on the various games I'm playing. This is why I really wish there was at least 5 or 10 active chatters during the indie game streams. Hollow Knight we got at least 3, but I want to have it for one of the more obscure ones. I'm not going to be streaming Skong because I'm going to be buried by the much more established streamers, plus I want to wait for the game to go on a sale. I want to wait a little bit. Wait for it to cook a bit. Because it's almost a guarantee that Skong is going to get some DLC and some expansions. I still think the first Hotel Transylvania is the best one. It starts to fall apart after that. Oh yeah. Another film that is, sequels get worse and worse. Despicable Me. Oh no. But yeah, it's easier to point out what actually succeeds versus doesn't. For stuff that did succeed with the sequels being as good if not better, Inside Out 2, The Bad Guys 2, if you want to go further back, the sequels to How to Train Your Dragon, Toy Story, Kung Fu Panda. Well, maybe not 4, but at least 1 through 3. But they're the exception more than the rule. But they're the exception, and they actually had careful enough care put into them to actually turn out well. So the first boss here is the Stera database, Species Cheetah. So the first boss here is the Stera database. You say it hates wind. Wait, this is the true wind. This boss is the turtle tank. GG. Which is a shame in regards to Hotel Transylvania, because the actual creator, they deserve better. More so Sylvia and Jaden. It seems like they're barely interested in anything in this during the streams. More interested in talking about whatever decides to come to their mind. Whether that be right now, their main fixation is Deltarune Rot, and various other random memes and other materials. Doesn't really seem they're interested in anything, even Maker. J-Batters, on the other hand, they seem interested sometimes. I totally understand not being interested in every single indie game I play, and that's why I wish there was a more active chatters who show up from time to time, because then we may have a better shot at getting people. This is also part of the reason why I like to stream so much during Sage, because we tend to get a lot more people who don't usually show up. We tend to get more people outside the usual crowd here. Heck, maybe we'll get some more subscribers. I remember that one time in the stream we had 100 active viewers. That was cool. I don't mind people going off topic, sure, but it gets noticeable when the same person goes off topic almost every single time. Or it's harder to count when they actually stay on topic than when they don't. We are not discussing live-action films, Pixel Boy. We wanted to limit it to animated family films, as it's easier to constrain the argument there. We could just say animated films in general too, but the plague of sequel stagnation really affects animated family films more because, quote-unquote, lower expectations. Because hey, this movie is designed for families or kids, so there's less expectation of them being good. Even though it shouldn't be that way. The best films are the best films that are, even if they're the best family animated films, are fun or enjoyable to watch, not just for kids, but also teens and adults. Witchfall will have a new demo for this upcoming Sage, and I will cover it. I've already talked about it with Baconfish. Baconfish is probably going to be in chat as well when we cover their game, depending on how it goes. Alright, on to the Metal Museum. 31 plays, score 15. I totally understand the sleep schedule thing too. Perhaps you can show up for more of the Mega Man related games, Manubi, because eventually I am going to cover Gunvolt. I am curious about that. Especially 2 and onwards. And of course, Mighty Gunvolt Burst, because why not? Horoscope, give it time. It's impressive how far they got from Power Star Frenzy, that's for sure. Ouch. And that's fair, Manubi. I don't mind— oh, yeah, I see what you want me to do here. I understand lurking. I just wish there was a— I don't even want that many active viewers, like, It's not like I want dozens or hundreds of active chatters at the same time, because then it can become kind of a mess to keep up with the chat or have specific convos. I just want like 5 or 10 for the indie game streams, or just or about the same as I do in the Mega Man Maker morning streams, and I'd be happy. I'm happy with my current relatively small streamer status. I just want to be able to talk more. Talk about the stuff I enjoy playing, watching, reading. I just want to have more people to talk about the stuff I like playing, reading, watching, listening, etc. All the other ings. That's one of the reasons why that's another one of the reasons why I spend so much time in Super Freak server and enjoy that place so much. And why I'm basically friends with 8 or 9 Sage devs by this point. With devs being featured on Sage. Gunvolt is, well... I'm gonna have mixed feelings about. 2 though, 2 is where I'm really interested in. Oh, and on the top of indie stuff... What's the game with the Sophia tank? Oh no. Blaster Master Zero. That's another game from Inti I'm really looking forward to. All 3 of them. I never actually played the original Blaster Master. I probably should play that first before I play Zero. Even though Zero is kind of a remake from what I've heard. I will also cover the remake. I will also cover this spin-off. If I really enjoy Gunvolt 2, I'll cover the spin-off. How's that sound? I will put an asterisk about Truly Improved because looking at the reviews and discussion about it, it's whether they actually improved is kind of arguable. Help. Not lightning. Metal? Okay. They may have higher highs, but the lows are as low as they usually are. At worst, NT tends to be kind of a... What are you weak to? Oh. At worst, indies games tend to be... I can't think of a better word, and I kind of dislike the way I'm saying it. Shovelware? Rompfest? I don't want to call it Slopfest because that's... It has a bit too many connotations I don't like to use. As a joke, sure, but formally I don't like to say it. I don't like to throw out words like Slopfest, especially when I haven't even fully played the game or experienced it. But I guess the closest thing would be at worst shovelware. Up to it. I don't have a lot to say about... I'll have a lot to say about Indy's post-Mega Man games when I get to that. I have thoughts. Not just about the games, but their other things. I'm probably gonna have to get a second person to discuss it in more detail. Yeah, it was fun to when we got around to it and the games actually allowed for it, it was fun to discuss a lot of the story and themes of Dead of a Wish. Midnight Sun for the character development and plot and speculation. Cook Serve Forever due to its actually more developed and simultaneously goofy backstory. Thank you, Minubi. You don't need to be super active, but I just wish, especially for the evening ones or non-Mega Man stuff, non-Maker stuff, we get a little bit more discussions. Like, if there's something you know about and you chip in for a short while, that's fine too. Not just Shiori, not just those three. Can't forget about Nini as well. Like, Suzaku is actually also one of my favorite characters. My favorite characters of the game are Suzaku, Shiori, and Ria. Well, Suzaku, Shiori, and to some extent, Faratraz. Especially the first two. Like Suzaku and Suzaku and Shiori. I'm interested in seeing what their direction their character arc is going to go through. Like for the halfway point of the game, most of the story revolved around Faratraz, but with some foreshadowing, there's something more going on with Suzaku, and then the whole reveal happened midway through. I feel like we're gonna have a lot more character development for Suzaku and Shiori going forwards. Like Faratraz was carrying the main plot of the ball. Now it's gonna be a lot more of the team. You know what? This calls for an explosion. I'm glad as well. He is very sarcastic, more if we choose to be, but at the same time genuine. And I appreciate that they actually connected him back into the whole Demon King story in a direct fashion, similar to how Faratraz is, but in a different way. I'm really interested to see with Shiori and Suzaku, I appreciate their places in the party, but they don't really have the same level of character development as Faratraz does. More so Shiori than Suzaku, because Suzaku is suffering from amnesia, and we are slowly getting more and more bits of his character returning. This was easier than the first Fortress boss. With Shiori though, she's been kinda static. Perhaps that will change as we learn more and more about her backstory in the second half. This was supposed to be the Metal Museum, like that Mega Man 4 stage. It didn't quite feel like that. Oftentimes, you'll join a stream to a game you don't have the context for due to not having seen previous streams or VODs of it. That leaves you generally confused. I totally understand that feeling. Oh my goodness. It's even worse for long-running games which require It's even worse for long-running games which require you to have quite a bit of context of what's happened before. See long-running JRPGs with intricate plot development and characters, or grand strategy games, which you can't just pick up and at a glance of what's happening. With Mega Man and stuff, sure, you may not know the exact backstory, but it's mainly gameplay driven and you can pick up stuff over time. And the moment-to-moment gameplay is good enough, but for other things, if you want to understand what's going on, especially with the story, and not just focus on the gameplay itself, yeah, it can become a problem. Or some games that can have such deep and rich systems for gameplay that if you miss too much of the previous context, see, for example, Dwarf Fortress or Grand Strategy games, it suffers from the same. You'll suffer from the same problem as you do with story-rich games, but in the gameplay spectrum. Or heck, you can have both. You can suffer from both at the same time. Take, for example, Baldur's Gate 3, or the Pathfinder games. There's a reason why whenever I see a stream of those games, I just pass up, or I just show up, say hello and good luck, and then leave. Oh, the other dude in the group? Christoph. He's cool, but he's more of a goofball while still being solid. It's not a question of if, Manubi, but when. W is definitely on my to-stream list. Unless something horrible happens, that's a definite. Forever story is relatively straightforward, and it's mostly character-driven, rather than events-driven, so it's easy to pick up on what's happening. There is character development happening, especially with Nori, but it's a little bit more subtle, and I feel like the whole talk about the sun blowing up and the Catuador, I'm butchering the pronunciation, the whole contest at the end, it's gonna come to a head. Christoph. And I'm happy Christoph is there because, oh my goodness, he was the MVP in 2 chapters. Having an off healer and having basically a Warmug in the party is great. Number 3 up is the Part Factory. Ready play, score 14. As Mega Man's been traversing through the fortress, he's been finding computer terminals so far. All he's found excuse me, you need to rephrase it a bit. As Mega Man's been traversing through the fortress, he's been finding a lot of computer terminals. So far, the only program or game he's found is Dwarf Fortress. Cool game. Too complicated for me to understand. One comment on that, Jaden. That is because Indie isn't really a developer house, it's more like a scouter for independent contractors, which leads to more questionable or varied results. I understand that, but it is classified as a developer on most of the platforms I go, and they are classified as a developer on all the platforms or storefronts I see, and they treat themselves as a developer or publisher. So, and in the end, it's them who chooses the contractors to make the games. So they have a certain level of responsibility as to who they pick and the final quality of games. Like, at a certain point, you need to be more careful about which contractors you decide to hire to make your stuff. Especially as they become more and more established. I understand, for example, for the quick and dirty games you can pick more. I understand for the less... maybe not quick and dirty, that's a bad word. Perhaps for the titles that don't require as much development time or resources and don't have that much expectation going into them, you can farm off to some more inexperienced or untested contractors. But for stuff that seems to be more well advertised or being more around being the big thing, or being geared towards being the next big thing, you gotta be more careful. I'm not describing this well. Let me rephrase it. What I'm saying is, for stuff that doesn't require as much development time or resources, sure, indie can focus on hiring contractors that aren't as well versed or well tested. But for the big guns, the stuff that requires more time, they need to be more careful. Ow. Squish. You know what? Okay. Fine. We're playing with ice. Freedom Games, here's the thing, Jaden. Freedom Games is not a developer, they're a publisher. So there's different levels of expectation. Well, I know. Indie also publishes things, but Indie's more known as a developer rather than a publisher. Freedom Games, or as they're actually known as today, Indie.io, yeah, it's more varied. But that's because they're willing to publish a lot more indie titles from a variety of sources. No, you're not. What I'm saying is, sure, I'll blame. That being said, I will blame Freedom Games if they. That being said, I will question Freedom Games' choices if they decide to publish some games that aren't as good or up to snuff as some other titles. But that same criticism also applies to Indie, for both the games they publish and quote-unquote develop. Precisely, Minubi. Because, remember, Cartoon Network was not under obligation to air that particular cartoon if it turned out to be bad. They specifically chose to put it on air. I know they may have actually contracted another company to make those animations, or shows. And they don't want to suffer from the whole sunk cost. They want to get a return on their investment, but still, at a certain point, they shoulder part of the blame. I know developers may make bad games, but the publisher will shoulder part of the blame if they exist. Yeah, I know Freedom Games, Indie.io's track record isn't the best, but I don't really trust most publishers either, so Plug ball? Plug ball. Ah yes, the reptile is weak to meteors. This is historically accurate. Go to your account, go to your account settings. But yeah, thank you for listening to my 5th TED Talk for the evening. This time in regards to my thoughts on developers and publishers, and Indie specifically. I understand the reason why it happens, but that's Indie's choice. They made the bed and as such must lie in it. Sometimes it's a good bed, other times it's a slapdash bed. And from the public, and from my perspective, and from a lot of the other places I've seen, well, Indie's reputation is, outside of some core series, not the best. It's more of like a, again, kind of shovelware-ish sometimes. Oh, thank you. Ow. Oh no, 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 no. Let me out, let me out. Right. Oh, that was unfair. But thank you for pointing that out, Jaden, my newbie. What do I think about the Fortress stages so far? Yeah, there are some of your best Fortress stages. And I appreciate how each one is basically taking the gimmicks from two of your RM stages and re-exploring them in different ways. It's a common trend I've seen for many fortresses and level packs in Maker, and every single time I appreciate it. With the way it is right now, this fortress has 5 stages, so we'll have we can cover all 8 of the ARM stages 2 apiece. Like, this was unfair because I just spawned on screen and immediately I get crushed. See, that is a bad placement because you have, even if you react very quickly, unless you use something like the Tornado or Astro Crush, you're gonna take a hit. And it's not just a soft hit, it's a very hefty hit. It took out pretty much half my health, almost half my health. Please move that at least 2 more tiles ahead. And the other important thing is that the special weapons make it easier, sure, but you still have to engage in a central mechanic. And importantly enough, they're not just trivialized or just there for just for the sake of being there. They don't just exist for the sake of existing. Which unfortunately, like many RM and... unfortunately like many other RM stages and other level packs, many Fortress stages suffer from the case of, hey, we're putting the gimmicks here just for putting the gimmicks here and having a random challenge. This one though does some iteration. If I enjoyed this pack more, I would check out the stuff in more detail. I would explain the stuff in more detail, but I'm a bit too tired. Lol. Like, my overall thoughts on this pack are that, for Maker standards, it's decent and true enjoyable. There are a few spots that I tweak, only like 2 or 3 unfair spots. This was one of the most unfair ones. Even then, they're not like super instant death happy. You have improved over time. Security sector, target play score 22. I don't know what else to talk about right now. We went through multiple insightful topics tonight. Way more than I expected. Thank you, everyone. I thought I was gonna end up running out of topics to talk about other than the pack, and as such be half silent throughout the stream. But thanks to all of you, I was able to keep speaking for at least 90% of it. Alright, last 2. Oh no, I didn't actually need to do that. Even the intro stage itself, although it could be better, it's, in the grand scheme of the level packs I played, It's sadly one of the better ones. Frankly, the more and more level packs I play, the more I feel like you could get by without an intro stage because most people will just skip over it, and they don't tend to be designed that well anyways. It's not like they, in pretty much all the level packs I played, barring the 2 or 3 best ones, barring the 4 or 5 best ones, I need to correct the number, the intro stage doesn't really introduce any assets that are going to be used throughout the entirety of the pack. They're just there to just be a basic, very basic level which does something. Well, introduced upon the pack and some very basic challenges, assuming players never played Mega Man before. Only those 5, they actually introduce a gimmick or set of gimmicks that are used throughout the various RM levels. There it makes sense. You've been entrusted with designing 2.5 stages in W. The 2 you're fully trusted with are the further stages. Ooh. The main difference between your Maker levels and the W stages is that thorough playtesting is non-negotiable. Understandable. When I played your level pack Manubi, I thought it was one of the decent ones. It also helps that all of your stages had unique soundtracks. And my apologies, my voice is burning out. After the stage, I have to take a short water break and then I'll finish. Are you weak to Metal Blade? Mines? So that leaves... Metal Blade? No? Who is weak to Metal Blade then? Okay, yeah, never mind. I didn't get to use the water before, and... clearly I had to have used it. And this will be probably my last use of salt water. That pack was a bit rushed, you say? You say that, but it feels less rushed than at least a dozen other level packs I've played in the past. You couldn't find a way? Excuse me? Isn't it under the Steam account preferences? I think I have Steam open right now, let me check. Let me just get out of the stage, please. When I take the water break, I will just send a screenshot. Be proud of the soundtrack, that was good. Easily the best part of your pack. No way to slow down the force beams, by the way. Ouch. Not worth the beat rescue service. Blink blink. The security core. That was easy. Should have had twice the number of boo beams. I don't know if this would be my favorite. I think I liked 1 and 2 more. This one felt like the most we're reaching the end stage. And force beams were neat, but I would have preferred to focus more heavily on the 2 arm stages it's based off of, or fused together. And the boss itself was underwhelming. Alright, be right back in a moment. Okay. Last but not least, Hermione's office, 44 plays and a score 23. Instead of a throne room or headquarters or center base, it's simply her office. Okay. That's good to hear, Jaden. Okay, I'm starting to get rather tired, exhausted, so not due to the fall of this level pack, mind you, but due to the long day. So, I'll just summarize my toss at the end and just fight the boss. And I'll be looking forward to W, my newbie. I know it's not one of the big tree fan games coming out in the future, but I'll be looking forward to it nonetheless. Huh? What are these all about? Oh, mid-boss rush! I didn't expect that. That's something uncommon. I've seen that before. I've seen that before in a few levels or packs, but I've seen that before in a few levels and packs, but they tend to be in series instead of it being like Instead of it being like in the same hatches room as the boss 3 matches tend to be. But we already had the boss 3 matches, so this is the substitute. One from each RM level. Pumpkin. This time though, I won't just make a joke out of it. Aww. Need to spread out my usages. Do I get any refills? Sort of, but I'm not going to use them. Well, the ones about resetting the stage itself. Hi, kitty. Bye, kitty. And last but not least, Krabby. Lobster. You put up the greatest turbo fight. Not that it really helped. When I say big tree, I'm referring to Y+1, Shattered Diamond, and Perfect Blue. I think there's another fan game I'm missing. Don't quote me on that. I think there's one that's more popular. I said big tree. Then again, what's one definition of a big tree will vary from person to person. I don't think Four Hounds is as well known as Y+1, and certainly not as well known as Shattered Diamond and Perfect Blue. Shattered Diamond and Perfect Blue are the biggest ones I can think of. I don't know if Y+1 or Four Hounds is bigger. Whichever one you consider to be bigger, I consider that to be part of the big tree. Or big four if you want to put all of them together. Unlimited 2 is also under development, but expectations and excitement about the game aren't that high. Like, I don't really see that many people talking about it, even in Mega Man servers. Aw yeah. After Mega Man defeats Hermione, she runs and jumps into the Hermione machine. And wait, Hermione attacks with... Hermione had magic? Excuse me? She's a wizard? Magic in my Mega Man game? What is this sorcery? What's next? Are people gonna... What's next? What's next? Are people gonna turn into lions? Well, this became even easier. I'm just gonna use special weapons to speed up the process then. Now she's becoming a necromancer, summoning the army of zombie bots. Not that I actually need to deal with him. If there's one criticism I have of this pack, other than some specifics in regards to level design, you need to work on the difficulty balancing of your fortress bosses. The first one was easily the hardest one and most enjoyable. These, it feels like they're getting easier over time. The cast roll. Oh, I know exactly who you're referring to, Manubi. I don't know what I consider to be the big tree. It's either going to be Shattered Diamond. I consider it to be Shattered Diamond, Perfect Blue, and either 4 Hounds or Y+1. Pick one of the two. W is simply not popular enough to be considered part of that, I'm afraid. And Unlimited 2 doesn't have enough popularity as the OG did, due to various reasons. After defeating Hermione, she teleports away, and as soon as Mega Man got back, he hears why he broke out of prison and was kidnapped. To be continued. GG. Okay, definitely an improvement over Dr. Teddy's attack, and an obvious improvement over Dr. Max's attack. Oh my goodness. This may not delve into the main mechanics and gimmicks and enemies and stage hazards as I prefer it to, but I understand why. It's trying to be somewhat longer than the NES stage length without going to the average stage length of many Mega Man level packs and fan game stages. And it's trying to be geared towards an intermediate skill level. It started to mid-intermediate, but then it graduated to intermediate for the Fortress stages. My favorite stages were probably Frostpeak Valley, the Lava Stage, and the Glittery Space Station, especially for the climactic sections. But the rest of the stages are fine. The rest of the RM stages are fine. At worst, they're okay, but they're all kind of okay. They explore their main mechanic. They usually start with fairly controlled environments, escalate into the main mechanics, and then end with a okay to decent climax. They're not as stages I consider to be good, but they're fun, and more importantly, they don't overstay their welcome. If anything, they could stand to be shorter. They're relatively concise, but eh. There are only like 2 or 3 spots which are unfair, especially one in the Fortress 3 or 4. Otherwise, it never got too painful. If anything, my main criticism is with the Fortress boss balancing because, let me tell you, one or 2 was the best one, and it only got easier over time. And with 5, the phases of the bosses got easier when we got to 1 to 2. Well, Phase 2 was the easiest, Phase 1 was hardest, Phase 3 was in between. I was honestly hoping for a capsule fight at the end because, again, you're trying to go for custom fights, but, that's not the way you'd balance them. So we still have some ways to work on that. Regardless though, unlike the previous 2 level packs, I would actually recommend this to someone who has played some of the better packs in the past and wants to check something out that's newer, and that won't take too much of their time. It'll only take about 2 hours to beat. The weapon selection is mostly okay. It gets the job done. There's a bit of overlap, and of course, I barely use the salt water outside of weaknesses because why would I? When there are already stronger options. Yeah, there's a reason why W isn't really widely talked about. It also doesn't help that this is their first fan game, and Team JD is mainly known from Mega Man Maker, which itself has become more and more of an isolated community over time as more and more people have left. Also, the team is less quote-unquote stacked compared to the biggest 4 titles. But that's fair. Regardless though, I am gonna cover it. I always appreciate the Mega Man fan games that do come out, and I do want to share the spotlight on them. But once again, Thank you for sharing your level pack, Tedley. And especially many special thanks go to Jaden and Manubi for the detailed discussions we had on various topics tonight. You really made this stand out a lot more than I thought it would be going into this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alrighty then, the next time I'll see you all will probably be Saturday morning, maybe even sooner depending on how things go with Hollow Knight. Regardless, thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.